Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Stephanie Quinu. We are continuing to monitor this live event out of Atlanta right here, as we are expecting Atlanta police to give an update after the arrest of a man yesterday who had a gun at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta airport after making threats. And if you're not familiar with the story, I did want to share a little bit more. The man arrested is facing multiple charges after police said that he threatened to, quote, shoot up Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, and police arrested him there, also finding a gun inside his truck. So what we know is that the suspect, Billy Joe Cagle, was taken into custody Monday morning after his family called police to report that he was driving to Atlanta and threatening to harm as many people as possible. So Cartersville police alerted the Atlanta Police Department about the threats. A little bit later on, they also shared Cagle's photo. Atlanta officers were told that he was likely headed to the airport, and police say Cagle entered the terminal through a door and had been inside for about 20 minutes before officers spotted him. Officers then arrested him less than 15 minutes after being notified of the threat. So we do see that the police chief, along with others, are now making their way up to the desk right here. Let's listen in.
All right, well, thank you all for taking the time from your busy day to be here. We always appreciate the role you all play being a conduit to our community, passing information both ways. And so thank you for the role you play in Atlanta and in our society. Joined by a number of individuals today who had a key role in the success that we saw as a city keeping our airport safe. I'm going to start with the commander of our airport section, Major David Wilson. And then to my left is Officer Banks, and then we have Sergeant Jones, and the Assistant Airport Commander, Captain Bandy. And so we'll be here today kind of revisiting what happened yesterday and answering any questions that you all may have. I'm going to go over some of the information that I did provide yesterday at the press conference that some of you were here at. But you know, yesterday at 9:40, we were alerted by Cartersville Police Department of what information they had received as a threat, a credible threat, against Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. They called us at our precinct. Sergeant Jones was the one that would be put in contact with the Cartersville Police Department, and they had a family member of Mr. Cagle in their police precinct informing them that he was live streaming and that he was indicating he was driving to the airport and he was armed and he was going to use their quote, he was going to shoot up the place. As you know, we are responsible for the safety of the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. We do so in partnership with a number of federal agencies as well that works very closely with us side by side. Sergeant Jones at that time, and then shortly thereafter, Major Wilson was alerted, began coordinating all of the resources of our police department that is there. We have a number of resources from K-9 to rifle officers, to patrol officers, bike officers. We have a range of resources that we keep at the airport. We also alerted our federal partners as well as the civilian team that was in place, alerting everyone. As Sergeant Jones was receiving a description of the vehicle and the description of what we believe Mr. Cagle was wearing, what he looked like, and his photograph from his driver's license, that was being disseminated throughout the airport, including to Officer Banks, who you're going to hear from shortly. What we didn't know at that point is that Mr. Cagle was already at the airport. He had arrived, and he had arrived at 9:29, and then he had entered the airport at 9:31. Now, that vehicle was shortly thereafter flagged as being improperly parked. A citation was issued. And then our protocol, and that occurred at 9:36. And our protocol is to call a K-9 to the scene. It is to make sure there's no bomb on that vehicle, and it's to tow it. However, by this point, we were starting to connect the dots and realize this vehicle was likely the vehicle that Mr. Cagle was in. And so we actually placed an officer on the vehicle in case he returned to the location. It's a busy airport. You all have reported from that atrium area live, south domestic. You all have been there. You know how crowded it was. And so officers such as Officer Banks and your partner, Officer Gibson, the team they were in, and many other individuals was being directed by Sergeant Jones. And then we played for you the body-worn camera of them interacting with him. And again, thank you, Officer Banks. I appreciate you. Sergeant Jones, I appreciate you. The tragedies that we've seen play out across our nation didn't happen here yesterday. And this is a much different, we would have met yesterday and today as a group one way or the other. We would have met as media and the law enforcement through a tragedy, or we would have met as media and law enforcement speaking about how the system works, where we ask Americans, if you see something, say something. And we ask your police officers to stand in danger for each of us every day. And so yesterday is what played out exactly we'd like it to be. Shawty, do you want me to walk through what's on the screen, or what's the flow for today? Okay. So obviously, and please jump in, Officer Banks, any point you would like, Major Wilson or Sergeant Jones. This is video view from Domestic South. We see Mr. Cagle approaching in the blue shirt. Remember this, we have not yet received the telephone call from Cartersville. So that has not yet been received at the time that he has entered the area. We surmise that he's scouting the area. He's going to continue on, and I'm not sure, Director Spikes, what other video views we have, but we do know that he proceeds to the TSA screening area where travelers queue up to be screened and proceed to their boarding gates. That's where he seemed to have most of his attention that he was focusing on. And as Jonathan, we want to go to the next screen? Again, we're going back here to the timeline of when it was located, and 9:40 we received the alert. We started pushing this information out the airport. Then Sergeant Jones, I'm actually going to turn it over to you because at this point you're on the phone, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you kind of tell us what you were passing out to the team. Then Officer Banks, if you'll kind of walk through how you knew you had located the individual.
Yes, sir. Okay, so when I received the call from Cartersville Police Department, I did realize the urgency of trying to get all of the information out as soon as I could. So at first they were, of course, one of the family members did say my family member is en route to the airport to shoot the airport up, and it was the lookout given of the vehicle first of all, and so I gave out a lookout on the vehicle, and then needing additional information, a description of the guy, asked if they could send over a picture of him, which they sent it over immediately, and I began to pass it out amongst our the way we passed the information out, and I gave that out, and then I went on to ask what was he wearing, and they told me he was wearing a blue polo, and I asked was it a long sleeve polo or a short sleeve polo, and they were able to let us know that again it was a short sleeve polo. I gave out all of that information. I was just trying to give it out in real time as I was getting it, so the officers would know, and everyone who had their radio on would have their head on a swivel, and they would be actively looking for this guy.
Yeah, Officer Banks, you want to tell us what's happening here and right before this moment with your encounter?
Okay, so after I received the information from my sergeant, that's when I just put the description, I put it together. So we already had that he was about 350 pounds, he was a big guy. So I started to canvass the airport. Once I canvassed the airport, once the description came over of the shirt that he was wearing, the blue polo striped shirt, that's when I was able to identify him immediately. As I was walking towards identifying him, that's when I bumped into my partner, Officer Gibson, and I confirmed that that was the guy, that's the description, he fits it, and that's when I went on ahead to apprehend the suspect.
Thank you very much. Then we would obviously transport him to our precinct. At this point, we're also alerting our federal partners. We were alerting the FBI, we were alerting the TSA, and all those federal agencies that we work closely with to be able to keep the airport safe. He would proceed to be charged. We would charge him eventually after consulting with the district attorney. He was charged with terroristic threats. Yes, sir. Can you grab the mic? Certainly, okay. Certainly. And then going over the charges that we charged yesterday, I think what's currently before the Clayton County courts now are 3 of the 4, which is terroristic threats, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and possession of a firearm by a felon. Mr. Cagle was a convicted felon. He cannot legally possess the weapon, and so the FBI is working to determine where he was able to obtain that weapon. And it's my understanding, Major Wilson, that as of this morning, federal charges are also being applied, right?
That's correct, sir. That's correct.
And I think he's being transferred to the custody of the federal authorities.
At this time, yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is transpiring today.
So at this time, Chief, we're moving to what type of training our officers receive?
Yeah, the training of the police department is not just for the airport. We protect 245 unique neighborhoods in the city. We also protect the world's busiest airport, the world's most efficient airport, and I would say the world's safest airport. Our officers receive training for every type of emergency that we could be called to respond to, or that you, as a member of the media, could be called to cover, from a baby not breathing to an active shooter, and everything in between. The airport does train for active shooter situations. We do train for terror attacks against that facility. We also have a special team, our airport special response team, that is specifically designed equipped, and trains frequently to counter the type of attack that was, I believe, being plotted yesterday. Many of those resources you each can see in your travel. Some of them you can't see. We don't put everything in public view that we have in place to protect the airport. But be it bombs, be it guns, be it a stabbing attack, be it a child not breathing, whatever the emergency is, these women, these men of the Atlanta Police Department prepare for it each and every day. And that infrastructure is in place Friday through Saturday, 24 hours a day. We're going to make sure if we have the responsibility to protect any neighborhood of the city, we're going to be ready. And if we have the responsibility to protect the airport, we're going to be ready. And I do want to thank our mayor for the last 4 years who's been investing heavily in our organization, that we can grow it back to its authorized strength, keep the officers that we hire, bring out the organization, train them well, and give them the tools they need to be able to counter whatever threat we need to do. So, again, ladies, I appreciate you for your work yesterday.
At this time, we will open up for questions. I'm going to start with Kate, and we will go all the way around, and we'll come back. I see you all in the back row as well. If you know that you don't want to ask a question, I see you as well. If you don't want to ask a question, just pass out to the next person. Yield that time. So, Kate, we'll start with you.
My main question was how we got the gun, but it sounds like y'all don't know that yet.
Don't know that yet, right? Our federal partners are helping us determine that.
Okay, and knowing what happened yesterday, knowing how a tragedy was averted, as a police officer, how does that feel on a personal level? This is very professional, but just as a person, how does it feel to know that you policed officers?
It feels amazing. I think as a police level, we don't really sit in the moment and realize, the change that we made or what we prevented as far as the lives that we save. But I think after the adrenaline went down and after everything calmed down, I realized I know why I'm a police officer. I know why I'm here, and I serve at Atlanta Police Department. I'm here to serve and protect. I'm here to give protection to the airport and make sure that everyone's safe in their travel. And that's a big deal for me. That's a big deal for me.
Sergeant Jones, if you want to answer that as well.
Oh, it was great. I feel amazing. I'm in my last 6 months of my 30 years, and to be sitting here now, with you all and the chief and talking about everything that went on, I feel great. This is what I've trained to do, and I've loved doing this for the past 29 years, and it's just an amazing feeling.
Can you describe what a regular day for you guys at the airport? Of course, it's the busiest airport in the world. So many people go there every hour, every minute. What's your regular day like, and how different is it from what happened?
Our regular day, we just make sure that we keep it clean as far as, just the homeless, and make sure that we're protecting the environment. We do our 89s. We make sure that the airport is covered on the external part as well as the internal part. So just a regular day, we have a flow of things. We have a routine that we do for the airport. But the difference for this day, you hear a rifle, you hear someone, threatening a place that you come to work every day. And then you think about all the people that's in the airport. That one action could have changed lives for many, even for myself. So it was almost like day and night. And just a split of a second, it could have been bad. So we changed that. And we played our part. And the sergeant, she did amazing with putting out the information, and it was a blessing. It was a blessing.
All right, we're going to go to that back here, starting with, are you going to ask a question?
All right, so it does seem perhaps as though the microphone there has just gone out. We were hearing, though, from the police chief and others, and it looks like maybe they are trying to fix that microphone right there, as we weren't able to hear what the chief was saying, but it does seem as though there is no more sound. We do have another source, though. I'm just going to listen into that source to see if we can get the sound back for you.
In the state, so I will transfer resources as needed anywhere in that space. So we have the number of officers necessary to keep it safe. We're scalable. If we have a detected threat, we're going to surge anywhere in the city to make sure we do that.
All right.
I know you all had opened kind of the newer state-of-the-art precinct at the airport not too long ago. Did that play a role in this kind of quick response yesterday? Is that why this was designed to be there?
The new terminal out at F does not have any role to play in this one. That was the international one. The one that we currently have in domestic is the original precinct that we've had for many years, but that did not play a role one way or the other yesterday.
I think our new precinct is going to come online next year.
There's going to be a new administrative precinct for the airport next year, but that won't open until the fall of 2026 after the FIFA ends.
All right.
I know your officers are trained to deal with people they come across who may be experiencing mental challenges. I'm sure you'll be looking at this particular situation to see what can be gleaned from it. Is that true?
We are always going back and reviewing, debriefing, and examining what we could do better. And that's something that we do, whether it's a situation like this, a traffic accident, suspicious package. We are always going back and looking at the process and seeing what we can do better and how we can improve. Absolutely, though.
Do you have a question?
Officer Banks, how long have you been with the police department, and did this feel like the training kicked in and everything was just like a reflex, or?
Yeah. I've been with Atlanta Police Department for 3 years, coming up on 3 years. Been at the airport for about two years and some change. Yes, as far as the training, you don't really, as a police officer, you go through these trainings in the academy, or you go through these trainings, throughout the year and recertifications, but you don't realize when it actually happens in person. You don't know how to prepare for that. So yes, I did go into tunnel vision, and all of my skills, everything that I've learned just came as one. And that's when I just went into straight police mode. Got the description, just look for the person, proceed with caution, make sure that they don't have any firearms, no bulging on their waistline, make sure you see their hands, everything. The reason why I walked up so comfortably and smoothly was due to the fact that I did my visual observation, and I was able to control the situation with just, interacting with him and making sure that I can, apprehend him the correct way.
Okay.
Thank you for doing this. Can you elaborate a little bit more about the threat? We've heard that he threatened to shoot up the airport. Have you watched the live stream video? If there are any more details you can provide, and did you ever consider evacuating the terminal or even putting him on lockdown?
So I've not listened to the video myself. I know that was being conveyed to Sergeant Jones, and she was receiving the information. We take the steps necessary at the time that we have the information. Could that have happened? It could have. You got to remember, we were just minutes after the initial phone call being made. And so we were able to mitigate the threat, locate him with our first level of protection, which is our officers. We're always going to take the steps necessary to keep the airport safe. We have not listened to the video. We know the FBI is working on that as well. But for a family member who knows someone the best, to call and convey in the manner that they did, we knew it was serious. And that's why we started deploying the resources that we did.
Sergeant, just to make sure, who were you talking to on the phone? Were you talking to the family? Or?
I was speaking with a family member and also the officer over at Cartersville Police. Yes.
Tell me about that phone call. Like what?
That
was they panicked? Like, I just want to...
Yeah, it was an ordinary great day at the airport. I'm in my last little 6 months, so to get that call, it made me stand up. It made me stand up and start taking notes. And again, I was internally panicking, like, oh, hurry up, let's get this information out. As you're getting it to Tawana, don't write it down, just give it out right now so the officers can hear what you're hearing. And that's exactly what I did. My heart was beating fast. I'm like, okay, I haven't heard any gunshots, anything go off, so we're good right now. Let's just get that information out to prevent that from happening.
But what was that family member? What were they sounding? Were they panicking?
The family member didn't sound panicky. They were very calm, and they were so giving of the information, and they were very cooperative. And I thank them for calling and giving that information. And like I said, it was a panic. It was get that information out.
I saw in the video of their gun.
We're going in order.
So sorry.
Taisha, and then I'll come to you, Taisha.
Okay, that was exactly what I was going to ask you, so thank you for that. But Officer Banks, everybody in the newsroom wants to know, when you put your hand out, that was your hand,
yes,
right? and it seemed like at that moment, that's when you were like, you knew. Can you just describe to us exactly what was going through your mind? You had already tapped into all your training. What were you thinking?
To be honest, it might sound, strange, but as a police officer and all the training, I was scared. It was fearful for a second. Just knowing the size difference, just knowing, the things that can possibly happen, and you have those scenarios in your mind as a trained police officer. You think of what can happen in seconds. I mean, it moves so fast. So as I put my hand on his back, that's when I knew, okay, it's time. It's time to put the cuffs on him. It's time. This is the person. So it was almost like a understanding that this is what I have. This is the person. I'm very sure. I know this is what we have, and I have the assistance of all the other officers and units that we have at the airport. And then that's what the comfort came to know. Yeah, that it was time to put him in cuffs. Yeah.
And in that moment, did you feel the lives saved?
Yes, I felt that something shift. I felt that whatever he had in his mind that he was going to do, I was there to stop it.
Thank you.
In the photo with the gun in the back of the truck, there was a bullet next to the gun. Did he have a round chambered in that weapon, and how much more ammunition did he have on him?
I don't believe the weapon was actually, a round was chambered, but there was a magazine with 26 rounds, and there was a round on the floorboard when we inventoried the vehicle. There was also, I believe, 2 spent shell casings that were also recovered inside the vehicle as well.
Officer Jones and Sergeant Jones and Officer Banks.
Yes, sir.
Knowing that you both knew the motion taking place, can you just give us your perspective of knowing that you kept people at the airport, calm? Can you speak about that about your training and things, instead of knowing that the people at the airport, they know about the motion that was about to take place?
You want to lead, Sarge?
I'm going to let you go ahead.
Okay. From my perspective as an officer and being on the scene, I knew that the airport was calm. No one knew what was going on, and I wanted to keep it that way. I wanted the scene to stay calm, because once things get aroused, and that's when things get confusing. So my approach was with professionalism and with courtesy. Although this person was a suspect, although this person was someone that was targeting the airport or threatening the airport, I knew that if I just, walk with courtesy, professionalism, and respect, that the situation will be handled the correct way. So I wanted to make sure that everyone was remaining calm in the airport and in the South Terminal, just so they won't interfere with what we had at hand.
Officer Banks, what was your reaction when you saw the suspect? Was he just standing there? Was he calm? And Sergeant Jones, how did you guys alert the rest of the officers in the airport? Did you guys send them a text? Did you guys radio in? How was that possible?
Well, of course, when the picture came in, I did have to disseminate the picture. So the picture was given out, and I'm just letting the officers know, hey, I just sent the picture, look at the picture. And again, as all the description of his clothing and everything was coming in, I just was giving it out to the officers as I was getting it. No, over the radio, just over the radio. Like I said, I didn't want to write anything down and sit on any information. I wanted to go ahead on and get that information out, because I knew time was of the essence. So that's exactly what I did.
And repeat your question for me as well.
How, when you finally found him, how was he like? Was he just standing
okay,
there?
Yeah.
In the area? When was he?
When I noticed it, when I put the description together and I identified the suspect, and he was calm. He was just pretty much kind of scanning the place around, like just looking around and idling the area, pretty much looking like he was casing the area a little bit, just seeing, what's going on and what people are doing. And he had his phone in his hand. So he wasn't irate or anything like that at the moment. He was pretty calm. Yeah.
What was the reaction of the travelers around you? I mean, everything that we see is pretty much focused on him. It looks like business as usual. Did people ever notice and recognize what was happening?
I don't believe so. Like I said, I was in tunnel vision as far as doing what I needed to do to just get him in cuffs as quick as possible. As far as everything going on around me, everyone was just moving as if they were doing their regular day. And that's what we like to do at the airport. We like to make sure that if we have something or we have a call or anything like that, we don't like to make the scene bigger than what it is. We get our description, we get what we need from the sergeant, we do our canvases, we do what we need, and we make sure that we apprehend them and take them immediately to the precinct, and then we can further our investigation.
Was there any kind of mental health evaluation?
Yeah, that would be ordered by the courts, and so we would not carry that out, but the courts would.
All right, going back to that side. Any questions, Faith?
You had mentioned that
We're gonna
there
go
was
with Faith
something
first, and
about
then
the
we'll come to
video.
you. We'll go with Faith first, and then we'll come to you.
Thank you. Officer Banks, you mentioned that he had his cell phone in his hand. Was he still live streaming at the time?
I'm not sure. Yeah, he was way too tall for me to even see. all I saw was, I'm like, I just need to get his hands. That's it.
All right, next question. Faith.
You had earlier mentioned something about the change in the video, like a timestamp.
So that we added the 9:36, we were able to get Taisha asked a question about the vehicle being ticketed on yesterday. We were able to find out that it was at 9:36 that it was ticketed. So that's the only change from yesterday's presentation and today's. The 9:36 was added. All right, I see your hand. I used to be a teacher, so I'm just
For Chief and for Major, can you further explain what's going on with the feds? Either was it handing over the case or handing him over?
Yeah, we were notified this morning that there would be federal charges. I did speak with the special agent in charge of the FBI today. We were in conversation yesterday. He was here at the press conference with us. So they are bringing federal charges. And then we were advised that he was being turned over to federal custody today from the Clayton County Jail. And that should have taken place already.
all right, now I'm going.
Sergeant Jones, I know
Yes.
you've said a couple of times about the urgency that you had of getting the information out there, and I know the chief mentioned yesterday that he believed that the suspect was going back to his truck to get the weapon, and I know from where he was found, I mean that was just a matter of feet from the door there. What's kind of your thought process of knowing that if it was just a few minutes difference, this could have been a completely different situation?
And when that call came in, that's what I thought. I was thinking of that exactly. I was saying, get the information out right now because time is so important. Like a bullet, it's quick. So I was like, let me just get this out to the officers again right now to every ear that's listening so everyone's head would be on a swivel. So again, once they seen anyone who could possibly fit that description, that we were stopping those individuals and trying to investigate. Mm-hmm.
So it's important for you all to note, we're going to go back on one video. Jonathan, it's the video where, I think it's where he's being handcuffed. I know we've had members of the media, go to the next one, Jonathan, who've asked, what was it like looking, and this is where Major Wilson, I'll have you respond to the next video, please. Then go back, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. If you just go back, I'll show you. And this is, go back again. So here, we have officers, and if you can speak to it, someone did ask on yesterday, the number of officers, and we're not talking about staffing, but just to show you that there were officers who were on alert, ready to find this particular suspect. So, Major Wilson, if you can talk about what you see and what's going on.
Absolutely, just put a video, John. So an Officer Banks. I'm sorry. So an Officer Banks engages him, and she rotates and faces the windows. There's going to be a balcony that's going to be on the left-hand side of the photo. Of the screen, you'll see 4 officers that are on that balcony as well. One of them is a member of the ASR team, and then 3 of them are canine handlers who put their dogs up and start to patrol and canvass as well. But right there, those officers are all there. So when Officer Banks came over the radio and said, "I think I have him," they obviously their attention was piqued and they started to look over and they immediately saw him. So they were there to assist. But that goes to show again the scale and the scope that we went through to go ahead and make sure that everybody was out there, everybody was searching, for this individual. The other thing I'd like to say, Sergeant Jones did fabulous job, really did. Officer Banks, Officer Gibson did a fabulous job. But the whole thing started with when the call came into our administrative assistant who sits at the front desk. So I just want to give credit to everybody in the Atlanta Police Department. She recognized the importance and the seriousness of the call, and she immediately escalated that call, because we get calls, I can't even tell you how many calls we get that she, has to go through every day and, determining like who does it go to, is that person here. She wasted no time, identifying the seriousness and the magnitude of the moment, and she immediately got a hold of Sergeant Jones and made sure that situation was escalated. So I again, at any point in time, this could have been a totally different conversation had that link in the chain been broken and someone said, you know what, I'm going to wait a minute, or I wait 5 minutes. Everybody, I couldn't be more proud as a member of the Atlanta Police Department or as like the commander of the airport section for what everybody did. Everybody pitched in and immediately, began to do their job. I mean, what we expect them to do, what we want them to do, everything just laid out and played out perfectly. And again, I just want to reiterate, I couldn't be prouder, again, to be the commander of the airport and of the actions of all of my officers and of Sergeant Jones. I've known Sergeant Jones for 20-plus years. When I came on as a rookie, she probably had about 6 or 7 years on. But again, I called her last night at about 8 o'clock at night, and I personally said, hey, I'm just really so proud of you. You did a fabulous job. And again, as we all keep talking about the number of lives that were saved, we'll never know, and thank God we'll never know. But again, it's all from the great work of, the men and women of the Atlanta Police Department and the airport section.
Who is the team member that answered the phone?
It's going to be Miss Tharp.
Miss Tharp.
Miss Tharp. But we do and the chief and the whole command staff does an excellent job of, encouraging all of us to go ahead and make sure we recognize all of our employees. And we have an excellence award, and she's on it as well. Okay. But she, again, did a fabulous job. And back to the training part, our ASRT team has several members that are former members of the academy, and we train, small groups of 5 or 6 officers on a weekly basis for active shooter, incidents. And again, the chief always encourages us to innovate, to try and do things, to bring new trainings, to bring new things to your officers. And again, we can't always give them everything they want to make them happy, but we can give them things like the extra training that shows like, hey, you have a day where you can go learn something, when you can go have some fun, you can go, train with your fellow, officers. And that's what we try to do at the airport. We really have a great system out there. And I'm, again, super proud of my ASERT team. Those guys are the consummate professionals when it comes to handling anything that, would relate to a terrorist attack, a lone gunman, anything of that nature. They do a fabulous job. They train all the time. Many of them are former SWAT members. So again, when the chief talks about the resources that we have on hand, we have the resources on hand. We have what we need to do to make the airport safe and secure each and every day. And I think, that's really what the message is. We are prepared for whatever happens out there. We really are.
All right, we're going to do a couple more questions and then we're out. So I'm going to go to Faith, Taisha, and to you, Joseph. You've had 2 times. I'll come back. I've got to also be mindful of time. So Faith, and I'll come to you as well.
This is for either Chief or Major Wilson. You've talked about the security of the airport, how your officers are vigilant and they're doing everything they can to prevent crime. Should the average person expect any changes outside or inside in light of this?
We're going to always keep the airport safe. So we look at things that happen around the globe. Something can happen in another American city, we're going to adjust. Something can happen on the other side of the globe, we're going to adjust. The Major and I were on the phone last night talking about adjustments we were going to make over the next few days. We don't always provide that. You're all law-abiding citizens. Your viewers, readers are law-abiding citizens. But we don't want to put some of that out there. But we're aware there can be copycats. We're going to be ready. And we're going to make sure that we take lessons learned from around the globe. Right here.
Mine was kind of similar. I was just going to say, since the truck was sitting there for 5 minutes and it was kind of positioned oddly, can people expect to, be told to move or be approached if they sit there too long?
And that's happening now. That was happening before yesterday.
Oh, it happened.
It happened, right? So that could always, right? So we're going to continue to move vehicles along. The protocol we have in place is direct to move, right? Ma'am, sir, you got to move along. So the individual was out of his truck and moved on in 2 minutes. So all it takes is a person to be walking back. So there's no one to tell to move along. The protocol was enacted, sight, tow, check to make sure it's not a threat. We paused that when we realized it was the vehicle that we were looking for and he may return to it. And so that's why we had officers placed on it. So there is no free parking in Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. You go to the curb, you're going to ask to move along. Sorry about that.
With the family members, you're able to describe what kind of relationship that person or persons had with the suspect, and I think at some point you said they went to the precinct and called from the precinct, or was it a call that came in?
Let's direct that to Cartersville Police.
Yeah.
Because they would have more details on that, so we're gonna direct there. We're gonna go with you for your question.
Chief, if you can speak on behalf, just knowing that this was a team effort, with the family, the Cartersville Police Department, and everyone at this table, and law enforcement at the airport. But can you just speak on behalf how it's important for the community to speak up? Because if you speak up, we save a whole bunch of lives coming on yesterday.
Yeah, I think this is a lesson learned for our country. Before we have any big sporting event in Atlanta, we call you all together, and we always end it, see something, say something. Well, yesterday is what that meant. Family members who love someone dearly went to the police and said, I see something here. This is what my loved one is doing. Then we're here to, once they say something, we're the group that does something. So see something, say something, so someone can do something, which is law enforcement. Played out perfectly yesterday. The family isn't here today. They have very personal matters they're grappling with for someone they love that needs help. And I want to commend them today. That had to be a very difficult decision. They saved lives, and they saved their family member's life yesterday. Okay? And so they are to be commended. Cartersville Police Department, almost an hour from our city, did what they were sworn to do in Cartersville by protecting Atlantans and global travelers. And then I'm glad you all are seeing today what I see each and every day. Commitment, compassion, who wear the Atlanta uniform to protect our city. I'm glad you're getting to see it today. I get to see it every day, and that's why I come to work. And you're getting to see it from two individuals of our department that protect you with a passion, believe in what they do, and believe in this profession. And I called them both yesterday and thanked them because I was very proud of them. And I'm glad they're here so you can see them and that you're encouraged by the police department. This is the norm of the Atlanta Police Department. The news does not define this organization. This is the norm. And so, again, thank you both. Very, very proud of you.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
All right, Joseph, you're our last question.
Of course, you guys released a new time manual at 9:36 at the time you guys issued the ticket. Did the officer who issued the ticket see the gun at all? See the dog inside the car? What transpired with the car after, before Mr. Cagle was arrested and after he was arrested?
Yeah, the car was not going to be able to be approached again. We were pushing resources to that area. I can't say when he saw the dog. I know we knew there was a weapon in there. I don't know what point, Major, that we...
Well, first of all, it was ATL enforcement, the officers that you see on the curb that help people across the roadway or move people off the curb. They're the ones that issued the citation. And when one of my officers came up, and he was coming along the curb, and he asked the officer from ATL enforcement, he's like, hey, we're looking for a white and colored Chevrolet truck. He's like, I just sighted one right back at S1. And so my officer went down the curb, and that's where, again, things gradually begin to fall into place. But the ATL enforcement officer didn't see the weapon inside the vehicle. I don't know about the dog, but again, he wasn't aware of the weapon at that time.
All right, that's the last question for us. But normally when it comes down to this, the role you will play, yesterday could have been a different day for you as well. So it's important to understand why we did this. We did receive a lot of inquiries about this, but it's also important to remember that your day would have been a lot different had this man been able to carry out his desires. So I normally wouldn't ask this, but I do ask you as members of the media to give these officers, the officers as well as this sergeant and major and captain a round of applause.
These guys. Director Spikes, if I can close on this. While we're here today, we have a member of this department that is critically injured in Grady Hospital. And so I do ask each of you and the members of our city to continue to lift him up in prayer. He has a long, long road of recovery ahead of him, and he was injured responding to assist another officer last night. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers. I ask Atlanta to do that. And I want to commend the incredible work of Grady Hospital medical staff, who I watched last night work frantically to save his life. And so for those heroes at Grady Hospital throughout the region that serve in the medical field, I want to tell you I thank you and I appreciate you. But I do ask Atlanta to please keep our officer in your prayers, please. All right, thank you, Director Spikes.
That being said, we'll provide that on the back.
All right, so that concludes the police update on the Atlanta airport threat suspect. And this is a look at that suspect right here, Billy Joe Cagle, 49 years old. of Cartersville, who was arrested yesterday at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport after allegedly threatening to shoot up the airport. And so we were hearing from the officers who apprehended him, and they were just reiterating the importance of see something, say something. A family member made the phone call to alert authorities, and they responded very quickly, and the police chief saying saving lives because of their quick action.